Hi, I'm John Grisby, Professor of Practice and Leadership and Managing Partner at Gray Matter. Welcome to the webinar. I'll just give everyone a few more seconds to enter and settle, and then we will begin. As we start, I'm going to reduce myself out of the video so you can see the full screen, all the information, and much less of me talking. Okay. Great. Let's get started. Welcome to Business Change and Transformation Results. 70% failure, 30% success. Why leaders fail and how to master the 30% success formula, even in environments of increasing complexity, change, and problems, which, by the way, is the fourth industrial revolution in business. So welcome. Let me set the stage first for business change and transformation. I want to clarify the 70-30 number. Now, management consultants McKinsey claim that 70% of business change and transformation programs fail, or between 50 and 70. Now, it's not true, although this is what their marketing says, nor is the 66% fail, 34% succeed claimed by change management statistics. Both are observations and unscientific. Neither are academic research or peer-reviewed. However, both of these rough estimated statistics come from one academic source, the world's most foremost authority on leadership and change management, Professor John Kotter. Kotter is known for the 8-step Kotter model and over 20 books published on business change and transformation. And what Kotter says is a few corporate change efforts have been very successful, and a few have been utter failures. Most fall in between with a distinct tilt towards the lower scales of that 70% failure. So now that we're clear, I'm going to still speak about business and change transformation, failure and success using the 70% 70-30 idea in quotes, but I'm going to use it simply because it's a catchy phrase and it's what McKinsey's using and other top-tier management consultants are marketing. However, I'm being very transparent with you because my goal is to build and accelerate your capacity and capability to drive business change and transformation away from the utter failures, the tilt towards the lower scales and into that category of few very successful change efforts. So 70% fail and only 30% succeed. At what? Well, change initiatives or projects are defined as making a fundamental change in how business is conducted in order to help cope with a new, more challenging market environment. That's what Kotter says. And what do the 70% fail at? Well, they fail at growing and scaling a business. They fail at restructuring, or cultural change, or a turnaround, or merging and acquiring another business, producing innovation, digital transformation, or a sustainability transition. Whatever these initiatives, they involve change. Growing and scaling a business means changing from something smaller operationally into something much larger. Cultural change means you're changing current behavior, values, attitudes into newer ones. An M&A structure, you're changing current structure, roles, authority, and responsibilities into newer ones. Digital transformation, you're changing older products and services and operations into an updated version. An innovation, you're changing how current strategy, finance, marketing, and customer service work better together. So really, you're not leading HR. You're not leading M&A. You're not leading digital transformation. What you're leading is change and transformation, whatever role you're in. But whatever type of change and transformation you're trying to drive, you're realistically and statistically tilting towards the lower scales of failure. In order to reverse the 70%, we need to understand why the 70% fail, which is because of the following: adequate leadership and vision, structural deficiencies, cultural pitfalls, no effective employee engagement and communication. There's an absence of strategic and operational misalignment. There's a lack of agility and strategic foresight, and strategic misalignment and management issues. The costs of the 70% failures are significant. Major financial losses, global and regional operational disruptions, demoralized employees, missed opportunities. Ultimately, it's the decline of a business. And these are the most high-profile 70% failures. The classic ones are General Motors. In 2009, went bankrupt. They failed to innovate and adapt to changing customer needs. Kodak, very famous, the world's leading film company, they failed to adapt to digital photography. Nokia, they fell from the pinnacle of the mobile phone industry, to subsequently exit from the market due to a catalog of complex missed opportunities, strategic marketing missteps, and failure to adapt to change and industry change. Compaq Computer struggled to compete and ended up in price wars with Dell and HP and others. And the most recent examples, Boeing illustrates significant missteps in business transformation and crisis management. The UK government digital transformation failures, despite spending $20 billion annually on IT infrastructure, they have large-scale failures in digital programs in the NHS. So these examples highlight the critical importance of capacity and capability building to lead a clear strategy, to adapt, effectively manage risk, and innovate and lead through business change and transformation. Now let's look at why the 30% succeed. Well, they succeed because they adapt to change. They have an innovative leadership. They enhance decision-making skills. They build resilience and agility. They strengthen leadership and influence. They understand emerging trends and technologies. They cultivate a change-ready culture. And there is personal growth and reflection. I'd like you to notice that the majority of the 30% success are not technical or tactical skills. These are predominantly soft skills. It's capacity, which is development, and capability, which is performance. And what do they succeed at, these 30%? Well, they achieve results. They grow and scale a business. They merge and acquire. They produce innovation. Most importantly, they're able to lead through these critical change phases, which we'll talk about in a moment, and these transition points in growth, scale, innovation. They're able to lead through these successfully. And the 30% success category are organizations that invest in developing specific premium skills, premium soft skills, and micro credentials like business change and transformation. So this is not leadership development. It's not generalized leadership development. It's specialist capacity and capability building in change and transformation to achieve a measurable result. And this is particularly true for digital transformation, where we are at the moment, where success depends on the human element and the ability to adapt, upskill, and ensure complex technological projects are delivered. Research into the fourth industrial revolution of environments of increasing complexity, change, and problems indicates that leadership requires this blend of technical expertise and premium soft skills, emphasizing adaptability, strategic thinking, and the ability to foster innovation. So what you're going to learn about today are these premium soft skills that integrate with the technical and tactical elements of successfully driving and leading and managing change and transformation. So let's put research, data, and academics to the side and get into reality, which is you. I'm interested in you and your reality, and I'd like to go deeper into your day-to-day leading and managing change and transformation. So if you're on this webinar right now, chances are you're feeling or experiencing some of these, and I'll just name a few. Cultural and organizational resistance. You're encountering skepticism. Cultural and organization inertia, trying to break down silos. Bridging the gap. You're facing difficulties in translating technical findings with compelling narratives to influence people. Technology integration and upgrading. You're integrating new renewable technologies into existing infrastructures. Regulatory compliance and market pressures. The involving regulations, not only technologically, sustainability on a national and international scale. The internal resistance. You're encountering skepticism again, possibly from stakeholders and traditional business models that you're up against. Resource allocation. You're trying to secure resources, the necessary resources, financial, human, technological, to implement change. Aligning IT and business goals. Finding that investment, that IT investment, strategy investment that's the overarching, fits into the overarching strategy of business objectives, growth, customer satisfaction, operational efficiency, adapting to rapid technological changes, keeping up with the pace of change. Then you have cybersecurity, data privacy, and there's even that personal element of personal isolation. Sometimes you cannot push the change through. You meet so much resistance and you feel completely isolated. All of these are a result of change. And research shows that some problems in your company, about 85%, are 5 to 10 years old, depending how old your company is. And you're finding it difficult to solve all these problems and transition, even delivering on opportunities. So the biggest problem you have right now is that you might already be in that 70% failure zone, particularly if you're in an industry experiencing rapid changes and transitions, requiring adept leadership and transformation strategies. So technology, healthcare, finance, banking, manufacturing, retail, and sustainability. Because what happens in all these problems, they are embedded inside your organization and they produce, 1, root problems and causes, disintegration of people, interests, processes, structure, vision, and mission. And those push through to being symptoms. And this is disintegration, which causes between subsystems in your business, like sales, marketing, finance, and HR. And ultimately, this is visible in the market in manifestations. People leave, your market value disintegrates, your market share disintegrates, and the organization goes into crisis. So your biggest problem right now is that you might not only be in that 70% failure zone, but you're caught in this capacity and capability trap, which is you don't fully understand the scope on a strategic level for change and transformation, and you don't know how to lead through this with the skill. And depending on your role, you're in one of these critical traps. For the CEO, MD, and president, it's navigating a company through major changes and looking to reinvent their organization for sustainable growth. The chief transformation officer, you're tasked with overseeing these complex transformation in your organization. Chief information officer, you're trying to leverage technology to drive organizational change, enhance efficiency, and foster innovation. The chief human resources officer, focusing on that human element of change, including culture shifts and employee engagement. If you're a CSO or a chief strategy officer, you're responsible for setting the strategic direction and ensuring the company adapts to changing market conditions. The chief innovation officer, You are fostering change and innovation within the organization to stay ahead of the curve. And a director of change management, you are guiding your organization through change, looking for expert strategies and methodologies. So how are you going to do all this? This is huge. Your biggest trap is actually the lack of capacity and capability to lead change. Now, business school, MBA, and executive programs, they do not build capacity in specific business change and transformation premium micro-credentials and soft skills. They teach you subjects like marketing and leadership and finance, accounting and supply chain, human resources, but not how to lead and manage change and transformation in practice and application, like a framework and process, the difference between change and transformation, creating constructive conflict. How do you diagnose a business system? Identifying a problem and solving it, achieving a measurable result, creating a synergistic team, and making and taking decisions. So this has you pressured carrying the entire weight and responsibility on your shoulders. You're pulled in so many directions, and this has you running around in circles. So hopefully what you'll learn today about the 30% success formula to thrive and drive transformation will help alleviate your problems. You're going to learn how to first master change and transformation, to accelerate through critical change transitions, balance innovation, that entrepreneurial flexibility with professional management, and take back control in your role. And you can achieve this. You do not need to know complex change theory models and research like PMO and Agile and Scrum and Lean Six Sigma, psychology, design thinking. You just need a tried and tested strategic framework that's easy to use and the process that puts all of that in place. And you don't need to be a top-tier management consultant or business advisor. You don't need that background. Remember that management consultants use evidence-based theories and academic models, so they just brand and package them in a different way and call it their own, like a consultant playbook. Without being an academic or having to study, you don't need to have this academic knowledge. You just need something that is evidence-based, that is practical, that guides you and is scalable. So this is the 30% success formula. It's evidence-based and practice-based. You apply the principles, the framework, and the process directly to your business context and do the work. And you start to measure and see results. I know this because I'm a professor of practice in the subject and I have industry clients. I'm an author of practice-based guidebooks on leading business change and transformation. And I have clients all over the world, different sizes, across different sectors, who struggle just like you with change and transformation. And I totally appreciate where you're at with all this. It's confusing, all these business change and transformation models. And I was the same when I began to explore and research industry practices in business change and transformation over 12 years ago. But in that research, I discovered all the top-tier management consultancies use playbooks, which are packaged, branded, evidence-based theory and academic models like a balanced scorecard, a pestle analysis, political, economic, social, technological, environmental, PMO, customer-centric framework, a SWOT analysis, a balanced scorecard that actually isn't even an academic model. And I also discovered a best-in-class methodology which has academic research, theory, and application. It's been tried and tested with success in over 70 countries, 1,000 companies, some of which you're familiar with, like global franchises Domino's Pizza, in finance, Charles Schwab, Safra Bank, Brazil, and Bank of America. in IT, ScanDisk, energy, Shell, manufacturing, PPG and applied materials, and family-owned businesses like Group Salinas and Equinox. It's a proven, evidence-based, comprehensive business change management framework and process from strategy to execution. And it's one framework to mastering change and accelerating through critical transitions. It's ranked number 3 all-time best-in-class framework by Inc. magazine and top 10 change management solutions by HR Tech Outlook magazine. I don't have to know how to operate a business, supply chains, finance, or structure or HR using this framework and process. I can have conversations about the principles of change and develop leadership capacity and capability. And the results are amazing. Data shows business results from using this framework is a 10% increase in revenue from year 1, a 25% average increase in EBITDA after 1 year if you're in private equity or M&A. You can be a company ranked in the top 25 percentile of your sector after year 2, and there's a 43% increase in growth after year 2. Interestingly, I can use this model, this framework and process, and compete pound for pound against other top-tier management consultant playbooks and business advisors. And this one comprehensive business change management framework and process is proven, evidence-based, best-in-class from strategy to execution. It's your 30% success framework and process. This is for a leader in an organization that has an annual revenue of over $4 million, a minimum of 5 employees. You're in a sector that is experiencing change and transition, requiring these skills like technology, healthcare, finance, banking, manufacturing, retail, education, and sustainability. You are in an organizational culture that is value-driven and that it appreciates specific leadership development in change and transformation. And you recognize that the role of the human element depends on driving that transformation. You are going through business life cycles, critical transition points in growing and scaling. That might be an expansion or operational restructuring, but you're going through a life cycle change. You have a growth orientation. You're ambitious. You're focused on growth. You're focused on scale and transition, and you're proactive in approaching that. You have decision-making authority. You have authority, power, and influence to take, and implement a decision. And there are specific mindsets in roles: the visionary CEO, the change catalyst CTO, the culture-driven CHRO, the forward-thinking CIO, the energy transition leader, the sustainability pioneer, and the data-driven transformer. So what type of leader is this not for? Well, of course, if you don't meet the previous requirements or criteria, you'll find very little value in this. Additionally, if you're focused on general leadership development, you won't find value. For example, transformational leadership, delegate leadership, servant leadership, innovative leadership, or visionary leadership. These are very different approaches to leadership, rather than just focusing on the specialist, premium, soft skill and micro-credential of building capacity in business change and transformation. Here's what we're going to go through today in your steps to becoming that 30% of leaders who successfully drive business change and transformation. Part 1 is the VUCA 4.0 environment, Fourth Industrial Revolution world, how to future-proof your leadership role to be that 30%. And we're going to look at the business science. Part 2, why some leaders fail, that 70% to break through critical change transitions. It's one of the principles of change that we're going to cover. And part 3, the way forward, using the 30% success formula to drive business change and transformation and achieve results. Let's start with part 1, this VUCA, Fourth Industrial Revolution world, and how to future-proof your leadership role. And we do this by looking at the business science. Now, the pressures you're facing leading transformation and change are enormous. And I have clients responsible for delivering critical projects, but they are up against the business science, which shows the more you increase your role and responsibility, the more time it takes to make a decision. And this is true across all roles, from frontline customer relations to VP, boardroom, executive, CEO roles. Now, in 4.0 environments, the accelerated pace of change increases complexity and reduces decision-making time. Basically, you have less time to make complex strategic decisions. So it becomes clear that in 4.0 environments, leaders at every level of the organization must adapt year after year, capacity building for performance, capability building with development, and to future-proof your leadership role in leading change and transformation, you need to select premium soft skills and micro-credentials, which includes those identified by global industries and institutions and governing bodies as the top 10 sustainable and transformational for the next decade, like critical thinking and analysis, complex problem solving, leadership and social influence, reasoning, systems analysis and evaluation, and managing people. And these practices need to be aligned with the 7 of these 17 UN prime principles for responsible management, education, and sustainable development goals: quality education, gender equality, decent work and economic growth, reduced inequalities, building sustainable cities and communities, partnerships to achieving goals, building strong institutions. Change and transformation fits in and is aligned with these sustainable practices. In addition, 2 of these 6 competencies for responsible leadership, Carl: systems thinking and change and innovation. Now, part 2, why some leaders fail that 70% to break through critical change transitions. This is a principle of change, very important. Now, some leaders can't break through these critical transition points in operating, improving, growing, scaling a business. One of the major reasons why is because they fail to lead and manage the change loop. Now, every single leader deals with the critical change loop. Doesn't matter what type of business you have, small, medium, size, or global organization, or what sector you're in, non-for-profit, FMCG, energy, fintech, or where you are in the world. You're always subject to this critical change loop. It's like the law of gravity, and this is how it works. You lead and manage a business by implementing a strategy, and that strategy is subject to change. Change creates problems and opportunities that you must lead and manage through. Now, in order to do that, you need to lead and manage through by implementing another strategy, which is subject to more change, creating more problems and more opportunities that you must lead and manage through. And how do you do that? Well, you lead and manage through by implementing another strategy, which is subject to even more change, creating even more problems and opportunities that you must lead and manage through. And now you get the idea. Every single business is subject to this law of gravity or the law of change. And this process will continue throughout the life of your business in every shape or form as you move up the life cycle. And if you can't control the change loop, your typical problems become abnormal and your opportunities become problems. And this will result in problems like disintegration, premature aging of your business. It can either be a vicious loop where you lack capacity to control it, or a virtuous where you do have control. And this is an example of one of my clients, a fast-growing, mid-sized business, about 14 years old, where we identified 75 problems, 32 root causes, 58 symptoms, 17 core symptoms, 10 consequences, 5 manifestations, all because they lacked a structure and process. This is typical of any business that does not have a structure and process to scale. and goes through the change loop. You accumulate abnormal problems that lead to the inability to deliver opportunities. But if you build capacity and capability, you have the framework and process to create and actually accelerate through critical transitions and take control. Lastly, part 3, the way forward using the 30% success formula to drive business change and transformation and achieve results. The way forward means leading strategically and having a framework and process to guide your implementation. Leading strategically first requires distinguishing between the types of change you're dealing with, both people and business. And there are 3 main stages of change: evolutionary, oblique, and revolutionary. There are 8 variations or degrees of intensity across them, but don't worry about this for the moment. It's easier to understand in business terms. Working in the business is evolutionary. It constantly evolves. It's short-term, day-to-day process. And working on the business is revolutionary. It is long-term strategic. So working in the business, evolutionary, the short-term, this is the environment of the day-to-day, fine-tuning, adjusting, fixing, improving in individual subsystems like sales and marketing and finance and supply chain. It's relatively short-term. And the structure and process needed is specifically that to effectively manage. So you need solutions that are short-term solutions like Agile, Six Sigma, continuous improvement, design thinking, performance benchmarking, etc. Working on the business is revolutionary. This is long-term strategic. This is looking at a business's internal and external systems and external factors that play a part in impacting how the business is functioning. And this environment, change systems and structures are something called the next level. So you're dealing with high-level industrial change, high-level corporate development, issues concerning the future like strategy, values, partnerships, excellence, structure, and employees. And for this, you need another type of methodology. Now, once you've understood your business change and transformation direction and plan on a strategic level, you can begin the process and implementation, which is the 30% success framework and process. This is going to guide you through a proven best-in-class framework and process of 5 phases. You cannot underestimate the power of a unified framework, and it's the secret sauce to mastering business change. And it lies in this holistic framework. It's unlike piecemeal approaches. This framework offers a structured process through 5 phases, ensuring no aspect of business change is overlooked. It's about creating a synergy and a strategy and execution for growth. And the phases are phase 1, diagnostic, phase 2, form, phase 3, function, phase 4, flow, phase 5, fine-tune. Phase 1, diagnostic. You measure it to manage it. This is where you identify problems, you complete a diagnostic where you can understand what are the underlying factors, the core problems, the symptoms of your business. Phase 2 is form. You put the diagnostic to the side. Form over function. You're creating a structure now which you're aligning people in the right place, and you're selecting cross-functional teams that are going to collaborate and take care of those problems. Moving on to the third phase, which is the function. Function follows form. Now you're going to create a process that those teams have to make and take the right decisions, enable them to be synergistic, resolve tasks, issues, and problems, and you're going to engage in problem solving. And phase 4 is form. Function, number 2, and form, number 3, create flow. You simply are supporting the process once you embed this. And this is where the acceleration of leadership and capacity and capability is really done. And the 5th phase is fine-tuning. You want to stay healthy and keep the strategy on track, further embed, refine vision and mission, values, and project future business environment. Let's wrap up how leaders can master the 30% success formula to achieve results. First, there's a reality out there. The 4.0 or fourth industrial revolution environment, complexity, change, and problems. The pressure will only increase. This means you have less and less time to solve problems and make and take important decisions. Second, there's a situation within the 4.0 where you're in your organization and you're going through critical change transition points. If you want to successfully grow, scale an M&A, transition, or transform in this environment, you have to lead through these critical change and transition points where problems are solved and opportunities are delivered. The third are problems and opportunities themselves, and the problems that you need to solve and the opportunities that you need to deliver in order to get through these critical transition points might be cultural and organizational resistance or inertia. You might have to bridge the gap. You might have a technological integration in upgrading. You might have regulatory and compliance and market pressure issues, internal resistance, resource allocation, aligning IT with business goals, adapting to the rapid pace of change technologically, cybersecurity, and data privacy concerns, professional isolation. The fourth is the 30% success. Leadership involves capacity and capability building. And if you don't understand how to break through the critical change transition points by solving these problems and delivering opportunities, you've got a problem. You need to build capacity and capability with specific premium soft skill and micro credentials in business change and transformation in order to lead your business in change and transformation from strategy to execution. You need capacity for development and capability for performance to execute and achieve your results. You do this by the fifth point is a best-in-class methodology. How you can accelerate your leadership capacity and capability by using a comprehensive, best-in-class business change transformation framework and process. It's holistic organizational growth and developmental focus. Has a diagnostic, form, function, flow, and fine-tune. It's a 5-stage process. 6 is you achieve your measurable results. So when you have capacity to lead a business and change and transformation from strategy to execution, you have a best-in-class methodology to follow, which has a structure and process. You can deal with any type of 4.0 environment, complexity, change, and problems. And you can also break through these critical transition points to achieve measurable results, growth, scale, M&A, transition, and transformation, whatever you want. This could actually achieve results like a 10% increase in revenue, a 25% average increase in EBITDA. You could be ranked in the top 25 percentile of your sector. You can increase growth by 43% after 2 years. These results are not typical. Your ROI depends on the investment in time and resource and the desire to do it. Your next step is to take a deeper dive and explore your effectiveness in leading change and transformation. If you're interested, take the Leading Change Capability Scorecard by following the provided link and QR code. The assessment will evaluate your leadership in specialist areas of business change and transformation through a series of questions. You'll receive a personalized report providing an overview of your capacity and capability to lead change with insights, strengths, weaknesses, gaps, and areas of improvement. This is your future potential. So please note, if you wish to book a call, the scorecard serves as an expression of interest. Due to my busy schedule and traveling, I have limited availability. So completing a scorecard before booking a date and time will help me understand your needs better and us to focus on the conversation and guide our discussion. The next steps: take the scorecard, provide your information and answer a series of questions. Get your scorecard, receive your personalized results immediately after completion. Plan your next steps. Use your results to map out the next steps in building your leadership capacity and capability in change and transformation. Book a call, and during the call, we'll discuss your scorecard results, identify critical transition points, diagnose business systems, and create an action plan using the 30% success formula, the comprehensive framework to mastering change and driving transformation.